Hello, I'm Gabriella Ferenzi. I'm the founder of a London-based language training company called ProLingua. I'm a German and Hungarian teacher, or as I prefer to call myself, a German and Hungarian language coach. At ProLingua, we specialize in helping international business leaders and professionals connect with their foreign colleagues and partners and build better relationships by speaking foreign languages. Over the last 10 years, I've been working with more than 100 business people and city professionals who all work for internationally trading businesses in and around London. Now, they realized that they needed language support to do business more effectively and build better connections with their foreign counterparts. So I coached them and they learned German and Hungarian with my help. I've worked with clients in various industries, from finance, insurance, law to fashion, coaching people working for some of the largest international organizations, including Barclays, Allianz, Goldman Sachs, Aberdeen Asset Management, Deloitte, PwC, Dior, Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy, just to name a few. Now, over the past 10 years, I've worked with over 100 clients, and I realized that these extremely busy, hardworking, stressed out, and time poor business leaders needed a different approach to learning a new language. And that's how the concept of language coaching was born. I've helped clients to prepare for important meetings and presentations, business trips. I've helped them get from scratch to reading, watching and understanding industry news, important documents and contracts. I've helped them to participate in email flows and panel discussions, or just to make the right first impression when meeting their business partners. Now, before I start to work with new clients, I sit down with them and interview them with the help of a complex questionnaire, and we have an over an hour face-to-face meeting to find out where they are right now, what challenges they face, what they struggle with, or why they felt the need to learn a language, where they would like to be within a certain time frame. Now, the point of these sessions is to work out strategies to fast track the process of them being able to speak, to understand, and to have the confidence to use the language. Now, in these strategy sessions, I've had the opportunity to talk to lots of business people and city professionals and private individuals. And the one thing that every single one of them feels is that they think their situation is something completely unique. And it's true, they might work in different fields, they might be at a different level, they may have different needs, different learning styles, different schedule and availability, and even different strengths and weaknesses. So therefore, a bespoke language coaching approach really helps them to focus on the outcome they want to achieve, which is that they usually want to speak the language, they want to be understood in situations that are relevant and important to them, and they want to understand what's happening around them and have the confidence to speak. Now, after having worked with all these people, I discovered that when you start looking at the language learning journey, it is far more predictable than you think, because there are certain problems and frustrations that come along at a very predictable time, and there is ways to overcome those. So let me walk you through this journey and share with you what I've discovered over the past 10 to 12 years. Now, the first phase of learning a second language is a phase I call the cluelessness. It's when you don't understand the word that's being said around you, nor are you able to say anything in that particular language. So you are essentially clueless. We have all experienced something like this when on holiday, or on London's multiculti streets, it's quite common. And also in business, I've seen this scenario many times, having foreign visitors over from the head office and you not speaking their language, or perhaps listening to your foreign colleagues talking to Berlin or Zurich or the Paris head office, and you not having a clue what they are talking about. So you may be constantly surrounded by foreign languages because your company does business abroad or has foreign suppliers that you need to keep contact with, or perhaps you have a foreign spouse or a friend that speaks a different language from time to time that you just can't follow. So it's kind of natural that eventually you start picking up a few words and phrases and you ask your colleagues what this means, what that abbreviation stands for, and that's when you inevitably reach the second phase. Now, the second phase of learning a foreign language is what I call mutism. It's when you start picking up words, you start to understand what's being said around you, and also you have a vague idea what's going on, but you can't express yourself at all. Now, this phase can be even more frustrating than cluelessness because you know more or less what's happening around you and you would love to add something to the conversation and utter a few words, and yet you are mute. Now, it's either this phase or the phase of cluelessness when most people decide that it's actually time to invest into their training and sign up for a training program that can help fast track the learning process. Because let's admit, it's quite frustrating to be clueless and mute. Now, the third phase of learning a second language is what I call the awkwardness. So when you reach this phase, you would have started to actively learn the language, either by yourself through self-study or perhaps with the help of an online course, language schools, tutors, or with the help of a language coach. Now, this phase of awkwardness is a really complex one. Basically, it's when you can both understand more and more, and also you can finally start to express yourself, even if in a basic way, even if with a limited vocabulary, but you can actually get your point more or less across. Now, depending on the level you are at and the field you use the language in, you are more prone to awkward situations because your vocabulary is limited, you can't express yourself appropriately, there might be mistakes in every single sentence you create. However, you can get yourself understood and you understand more than before. So you are definitely on the right track. Now, the bad news is that awkwardness is inevitable. It's something that you have to accept that you will go through, and not just accept it, but also embrace it in order to eventually overcome it and reach the next phase. And that requires the right mindset and also a huge amount of confidence and support. Now, the fourth phase of learning a second language is what I call comfort. At this stage, you both understand most of what's being said to you, and you can also express yourself. But if you go blank, which you do occasionally, and you don't find the words you are looking for, you would have developed strategies to describe those words without breaking down the flow of conversation. So therefore, at this stage, conversations start to become more complex and more natural, and you feel a lot more at ease. But there is always room for awkward situations because you do mix up two words and you do misunderstand something occasionally. But these situations are usually completely harmless because you can correct yourself or you can laugh about it, and you can actually use these funny situations to your advantage because it exposes a side of you that's perhaps the vulnerable sides of your personality, but at the same time there is something to admire about all these mistakes because you show the efforts. Now eventually awkward situations happen on less and less occasions, and you start to feel really relaxed and comfortable in your second language. Now that's the ultimate comfort phase. So that's the journey I invite you on. Nice, isn't it? Well, it is nice. And it is a very rewarding experience with full of insights, but most of all, it's a transformational experience. I believe that no one wants to learn a language. We want to speak it, we want to understand what's being said to us and around us. We want to be understood as best as we possibly can, and we want to have the confidence to actually use the language enough to do business, to build relationships, to make the right impression, or to negotiate and participate constructively in meetings. So what I help my clients do is to develop the key skills for them to be able to overcome cluelessness, mutism, and awkwardness, and speak the language, understand what's being said to them, and have the confidence to go out and use the language. Now, I hope that helped you to understand the language journey and that you could pick up a few key ideas that would help you learn whatever language you want to speak more effectively to reach your goal. Thank you so much for listening and tuning in, and I hope to catch you next time on the next episode of ProLingua's podcast.